Is Vladimir Putin serious about using nuclear weapons, or is it all a calculated bluff? That's the question gripping analysts, world leaders, and ordinary people alike, and tonight, we're digging deep into the truth behind Putin's nuclear strategy. Your trusted space for global news without the noise. If you want clear, fact-based breakdowns of the biggest world stories, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a daily update. Now, let's talk about something that could affect every single one of us. For the past several months, especially since the escalation of the war in Ukraine, the phrase nuclear weapons has returned to the headlines, and not in a historical sense. Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly hinted, threatened, and signaled the possible use of tactical nuclear weapons in Europe, particularly if Russia perceives an existential threat. But what does that really mean? Is Russia genuinely preparing for nuclear deployment, or is this a high-stakes game of geopolitical poker? Let's start with what we know. On several occasions, Putin has said Russia would use all means available to protect its territorial integrity. In 2022, during a particularly tense moment in the war in Ukraine, he used the phrase "this is not a bluff" while referencing Russia's nuclear arsenal. Those words sent shockwaves through Western capitals, financial markets, and global institutions. Since then, Russia has continued to escalate its rhetoric. State media often discusses nuclear scenarios. Military drills involving strategic missile forces are regularly broadcast, and recently, there has been movement of Russian tactical nuclear weapons into Belarus, the first such deployment outside Russian territory since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Tactical nuclear weapons, unlike the massive warheads designed for long-range strikes, are smaller, battlefield-oriented nukes that can be used to achieve quick, devastating military advantages in a localized area. Their use is still catastrophic, both in terms of human life and international escalation, but they exist in a murkier, more dangerous corner of the nuclear landscape. The big question, then, is, does Putin intend to use them? Let's examine Russia's nuclear doctrine. According to official Russian military policy, nuclear weapons can be used in two cases. First, in response to a nuclear or large-scale conventional attack against Russia or its allies, and second, if the existence of the Russian state is threatened. However, these definitions are vague by design. What constitutes an existential threat? Would the loss of Crimea or key positions in eastern Ukraine count? That's where the danger lies in the ambiguity. The West has taken these threats seriously, but cautiously. The United States, NATO, and European leaders have consistently warned Russia that any use of nuclear weapons, even tactical ones, would result in catastrophic consequences. While specifics are intentionally vague, part of the deterrence strategy, the message is clear: crossing that line would change the rules of engagement forever. In terms of actual preparedness, recent satellite imagery and intelligence reports confirm that Russia has continued to modernize its nuclear arsenal. According to the Federation of American Scientists, Russia maintains roughly 1,600 deployed nuclear warheads and over 4,000 more in reserve. The strategic systems, such as intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched missiles, and long-range bombers, remain on high alert. But it's the tactical weapons, estimated at over 1,900, that raise the most concern in the current climate. In May 2023, Russia conducted tactical nuclear drills near its border with Ukraine, citing unprecedented threats from the West. Just months later, Putin confirmed that tactical nuclear weapons had been physically stationed in Belarus, with delivery systems and personnel training reportedly underway. While Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko claimed control over the use of these weapons, in reality, any decision to launch remains firmly in the hands of Moscow. So is this just psychological warfare, or does it reflect a genuine willingness to escalate? Many experts argue that Putin's nuclear posturing is designed to sow fear, stall Western support for Ukraine, and divide NATO. And to some extent it works. Each time the nuclear card is played, headlines explode, public anxiety rises, and politicians tread more carefully. The Kremlin understands that the fear of escalation can be as powerful as escalation itself. But here's the other side of the equation. As Russia continues to suffer battlefield losses and economic strain from prolonged sanctions, the internal pressure grows. Some analysts believe that if Putin feels cornered, politically or militarily, he might view tactical nuclear use not as madness, but as a strategic option to regain momentum. That is why global leaders take these threats seriously, not because they believe they are likely, but because the consequences of being wrong are too great. Let's not forget the historical context. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union understood the principle of mutually assured destruction. The idea was simple: if one side launched, the other would respond in kind, and both would be annihilated. That understanding created a sort of tense stability. But today's environment is different. There are more players, the rules are fuzzier, and the communications channels are less stable. One of the major concerns right now is the lack of formal arms control. With the New START treaty, the last major nuclear agreement between the US and Russia, hanging by a thread and due to expire soon, verification systems and transparency are rapidly disappearing. That increases the chances of miscalculation, misunderstanding, or accidental escalation. And what about China? While not directly involved in the Ukraine conflict, Beijing has made it clear that it opposes the use of nuclear weapons under any circumstances. At the same time, China has its own rapidly expanding nuclear program, and its geopolitical alignment with Russia adds another layer of complexity. If Russia ever did use a nuclear weapon, China's response would be a major geopolitical moment, one that could reshape alliances for decades. So where do we go from here? First, let's look at diplomacy. Despite the tension, back-channel communication between the US and Russia has reportedly continued. National security advisors from both countries have had secret meetings in neutral locations. These talks focus on reducing the risk of escalation, even if public relations between the two governments remain hostile. The hope is that even in times of conflict, the red lines are clear and cooler heads prevail. Second, the military outlook. Ukraine's counteroffensive has made some gains, but at high cost. Russia, while struggling with logistics and morale, still maintains significant territorial control. As winter approaches again, the battlefield may shift, and with it, the rhetoric. The fear among analysts is that as options narrow, Putin's willingness to play the nuclear card increases. Third, the public in Russia. Public support for the war has waned, especially among younger populations. Anti-war protests have been crushed, dissent is criminalized, and independent media silenced. But beneath the surface, dissatisfaction is growing, and for an autocrat like Putin, domestic instability can be as dangerous as foreign threats. Finally, let's talk about us, the global community. Are we prepared to deal with nuclear threats in the 21st century? Do we understand the stakes? Have we become too numb to nuclear rhetoric after hearing it for months? That complacency is exactly what experts warn against. Because the moment we stop taking it seriously might be the moment it becomes real. So to answer the question, is Putin's nuclear strategy a bluff or a real threat? The uncomfortable truth is, it's both. It's a bluff designed to manipulate perception, fracture unity, and slow Western support. But it's also a real threat because Putin has the weapons, the doctrine, and, potentially, the desperation to use them if he sees no other path. And that's what makes this moment in history so dangerous and so important to understand. What do you think? Is Putin playing mind games with the world, or is there a real risk we're not taking seriously enough? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every one of them, and we want to know how you see the future playing out. Thanks for watching today's report. If you found it informative, please give it a like, share it with your network, and subscribe to your channel name for more daily updates on global security, geopolitics, and breaking news stories that matter. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.